So thanks everyone for joining. Today we'll be talking about building an automated custom CRM with Noloco. If you're new to Noloco, which I'm sure not many of you are, but all the same, I'll give a quick introduction. Noloco is a platform for turning your business data into business apps. And today we're going to be looking specifically at how to build a custom CRM. And I'm joined by Gill O'Leary, who's another part of the Noloco team, but I'll get the introductions in a minute. Before we do, a short bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, which just FYI, but that also means that at the end of the session, we'll be sending you the full recording. So you can replay as many bits as you want and kind of go back over it so you know exactly how to achieve what we've done in the webinar. We encourage you to ask questions throughout. We'll be taking a pause in the middle to answer some questions, and then we'll do a more deep dive on questions towards the end as well. And then, yeah, so we should be wrapping up kind of within the hour. So it's just gone 25 to 5 for me here. So we'll be wrapping up just before 5:30 for us. Yeah, I think that's everything from the housekeeping. So a quick introduction. My name is Darragh. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Noloco. And today we'll be joined by Gill, the customer activation specialist. Gill, do you want to give yourself a very quick introduction?
For sure, yeah. So I'll be taking you through today's live demonstration. As Darragh said, I'm Gill. I take care of customer activation. So you'll see a lot of me if you sign up for a free trial of Noloco. And yeah, looking forward to just taking you through the CRM solution that we have in store for you today.
Excellent.
Cool.
So yeah, before we kind of dive into this, I thought it would make sense to kind of ask why build a custom CRM at all. So I assume anyone on the call knows at this point that a CRM stands for customer relationship management. And, you know, there's quite a lot of solutions out there, from HubSpot to Salesforce to much smaller things to even using a Google Sheet. But why would you build a custom CRM in Noloco? Well, that's a great question. And there's really kind of 5 reasons, in my opinion. So the first is, with a custom CRM, you can build a tailored CRM that fits your unique sales process. Every business is different. We know this. So you're able to customize every aspect of your CRM to match your specific sales workflows, as opposed to fitting your workflows to match the solution that you basically buy. It also means you can deploy the solution quite rapidly. You as your sales manager or the person in charge of your sales team are able to quickly build and iterate on your CRM, and allows you to respond much faster to both market needs and your customer needs, and obviously the needs of your sales team. Furthermore, a custom CRM, particularly built on Noloco, can provide seamless integration with the rest of your ecosystem, because, you know, no team is an island. So a custom CRM can connect effortlessly with the existing tools that you're using to run your business. And it also allows to empower your sales team, right? So a custom CRM can enable your sales managers and teams to adopt and modify the CRM to meet their needs, right? So you can get really granular into kind of solution that you build and the workflows that you carve out. And the last, and probably most important, is you can save money on avoiding the expense of traditional CRMs that are built for companies of various different sizes and shapes, and that might not meet your size. So you're not paying for anything that you just don't need. So I think that kind of sets the tone for what we're going to be covering today. But Gill has helped hundreds of customers build all sorts of solutions on Noloco, but many, many CRMs. So she's going to be guiding us through the Noloco CRM template today, but as well a more customized and advanced version of that, and seeing how you can customize that to meet your customers, to meet your business's needs. I'll hand it over to you, Gill.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Darragh. I think it tees it up really nicely, what we have in store for today's demo. So before I jump right into the app and the live demonstration, I'd love to give everyone on the line here just a sneak preview of what to expect and what's in store. So for today's demo, we're very much going to be taking a persona-based approach, so that you can really see, you know, from the perspective of a sales rep or a sales manager, you know, how they can use this solution to make them more effective at their job. So first up will be Ari, the sales rep, and we're really going to be taking you through his day-to-day, how he can use the CRM to, first of all, manage his deal pipeline more effectively. So we're going to see how he has all the information at his fingertips to prioritize deals that are near close, And of course, being able to effectively communicate with your manager so that you get the insights and advice that you need to close your deal and win the revenue. And throughout the demo, I really want everyone, I suppose, that's tuning in to kind of keep in mind of all of the different challenges that reps typically face. They're very busy people. Their primary objective is to, close as much revenue as possible, close as much deals as they need. And they want the system that they use to be a help rather than a hindrance, right? Sales organizations all over the world always struggle with sales rep adoption. And without knowing what your reps are up to, it's hard to effectively manage your teams. So we're going to really show you how building a CRM on Noloco specifically makes their lives super easy. They're really easy to use and engage, really easy to engage with all the views that we've built. You'll just be really eager to hear what people think, and I welcome your questions when it comes around to it, how we build the views that we built today. After we've shown you how to effectively, how Ari can effectively manage his deal pipeline, we're going to move into the more account management side of things. So having, again, a 360-degree view of your business, the key relationships that you hold with your customers, making sure that you are planning ahead for things like renewal dates. And you'll see how Ari has all that in one place, minimal clicks to get to the information he needs so that he can be really super successful at his job. So once we've gotten through the sales rep section, we're going to take a quick pause so people can ask their questions about what they've seen. We can definitely dive back into the app and showcase things that may help with the answer. So definitely keep them trickling throughout the demo. But once we wrap that up, we'll then move on to our next persona, which is Kate, the sales manager. So this is, of course, going to really showcase how important it is for Kate to have a holistic view of her sales team, their metrics, their KPIs. So we're going to have a huge focus on reports and dashboards, how she can inspect her pipeline, check if she's tracking towards her targets, and seeing how each sales rep is performing so that she can lead a high-performing sales team. So she can really help our business to grow the revenue. So once we've deep dive into all of that, we will then finish on one of the huge benefits that Darragh already touched upon just before we got to this point, is how easy it is for somebody like Kate with no prior, coding or systems building experience, can extend the functionality of her CRM to include more functionality that's going to help her reps perform, but more importantly, maybe start thinking of ways to embed the CRM that she's built into the wider organization, perhaps bringing in customer support teams so that everyone's working from the same system. So we'll show how she can build some of the views that we've created, how she can add more, pieces of data into the system, all with clicks and not code, so that sales leaders like Kate can, fully operate the system without any needed assistance from devs, IT teams, you name it. So that's pretty much a full summary of what to expect. If there are
so much,
questions, we'll dive right in. So first up, as promised, is Ari. So we're reviewing the CRM now from the sales rep's perspective. And as mentioned before, let's imagine it's, busy Q4 coming towards the end of the month, and he needs to prioritize the deals that are about to close. So if you look at the sidebar here on the left-hand side, you can see that we're currently in the opportunity section or deals. Again, all of this can be customized in line with the terms that you use. So first of all, we have a nice simple list view. So we currently have 3 records in Ari's view. You can imagine if this list gets much longer, it's going to be really important that, Ari has the ability to filter down the exact deals he wants to focus on. So looking at this, I'll just turn off build mode. Maybe he wants to see what deals he has currently in evaluation stage. Really simple, one click, he has that option filtered down. Maybe it's a primary contact that he holds a relationship with and he wants to see all the deals tied with that person. You get the idea, really easy. Now, if Ari doesn't like this list view, there are other options to present this data to Ari. And sometimes reps are more visual creatures and they like to have things organized in a Kanban view. This often goes down a treat with the sales professionals that we've worked with in the past. And now it's a much easier way to visualize your pipeline. So I can see here, I've got a deal negotiation. Maybe I need to move it back. It's all drag and drop functionality and it's behind the scenes updating the stage for the rep. Again, just making life easier for them, reducing the number of clicks to manage their pipeline. And for the eagle-eyed of you who saw that notification pop up, we have ways and means within Noloco to inform team members when things are moving. Imagine sales managers have a team of 20 reps. They want to know when things are progressing, and we can trigger off really nice notifications to different team members when these things are happening. But I know actually that this opportunity in question is at the negotiation stage, and Ari's going to want to focus his attention on here because he wants to get this closed and hopefully won. So we're going to drill down and show you this nice opportunity record view. So we've started at a list view. We're now down to the underlying opportunity in question. And you can see here that this is a nice, neat view. There's not too much information overwhelming the user. We've got a nice graphical representation of what stage the deal is in. We can see nice highlight blocks for the rep. So he knows that there's an upcoming deadline in a couple of days. What the estimated value is. Perhaps he needs to change that and update that. The nature of the deal has changed. Again, all there available, really quick glance even. Now we also,
I think it might be a good point, Jill, to kind of call out, like, some people are probably looking at this and saying, hey, look, this looks really similar to my current CRM, or, how is this any different, right? And I think, the really important thing to call out here is that, like, all of what you see here is customizable to your own business needs. So if you don't have estimated values, or if you need to prioritize things like discounts, or, if you have like several owners or several associated accounts, all of that can be modeled in your custom CRM. And everything you see here completely customizable. And I know we're going to get into the build mode stage quite a bit. My microphone. I know we're going to get into the editing and kind of customization mode later on. I just wanted to call it out now so people aren't under the assumption that this is kind of fixed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is all completely customizable, and I'm looking forward to giving everyone insight into how easy it is to change parts of this page. So yeah, carrying on. So obviously loving all the information I have here. We have some related activities. So these are the past interactions and activities that I've conducted on this deal. If I need to add more, I can, just to keep my CRM up to date, but we'll come back to that in a moment. We're jumping ahead a bit. I love the use of tabs as well. Again, reps like things organized. They don't want to be overwhelmed with information. Sales reps, that is. So, we have a nice section for files. I can see where I need to upload my close plan and my signed contract. And then most importantly, I have a nice note section. Now, this is where, internal CRM collaboration comes into play. I have a mechanism where I can reach my manager, ask for help from my other teammates, so that I'm keeping my deals going in the right direction and I'm not holding anything up. So I can see here there's a question from Kate. She's seen that it's been moved to negotiation. She's looking for some context in the close plan. I can let her know that I've now uploaded that. And it's really simple to use this. It's like any other sort of platform you've ever used when it comes to app mentioning and posting. Reddit, any users out there familiar with that? The old Facebook newsfeed, you get the idea. Twitter, it's all the same. So, I can comment back and let her know it's uploaded, and she'll receive a nice push notification to let her know, and she'll be directed to the record in question and she can respond where she needs to. So just to recap, I suppose, everything we've seen here, we've helped Ari, filter down his pipeline to find the deals that are near close. He's all the information neatly in one place, organized into tabs. He can log interactions if he needs to, which we'll come back to in a moment. And, easily communicate with their manager for help and ensure that, he has all the advice he needs. So yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of the deal management side of things. It's really customizable. So if people have questions or thoughts that have come up since seeing this, pop them in the question box and we can show you some real life examples based on what you care about. But moving on, now that I've taken care of my deal, before I completely wrap up this customer, I might just head back to Pamela, my key contact. Maybe I want to send her an email, call her to just finish off this deal and get the contract signed. It's really easy with our email and phone fields to, it's opened a different window, unfortunately. But I'm going to just zoom out of this for a moment so you can see what's just after popping up for me. But, you've got your integrated email tool, and we can start emailing Pamela right from clicking at the CRM level in Noloco. You know, if we've got an integrated dialer, we can kick off a phone call here. Maybe I want to review her LinkedIn and maybe reach out to her there. Again, just making it so easy, minimal clicks for the rep to engage with this person in the CRM. Now maybe I've had a really successful call. We've discussed pricing. She's happy to sign the contract. You know, I'm probably going to want to log that against the opportunity. So I'm going to head to the opportunities tab, back to where I came from. Again, we're navigating in a really kind of intuitive way in systems in what the rep will already be familiar from using other systems. And now we're going to log this interaction, and again, making data entries as foolproof as possible, with requiring the least amount of thought. You know, simply add a subject line, simply say it was a pricing discussion, date and time nicely pre-filled from some default field values that we've you know, built into this form. The assignee we know is myself, the logged in user. We've filtered this list to only show contacts that are associated with the opportunity, again, reducing margin of error. And that's it. Press save, and the sales rep doesn't have to think anymore. But most importantly, the sales manager is very happy that, you know, Ari is logging his activities, which can be reported on later. So we'll show you that at the end of the demo.
I think you kind of skimmed over something really important there. If you go back to that form,
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, there's a few really nice things there. So, but right as you open the form, the date and time, which you call there, are pre-filled, and that's live, and that's going to be the default value. And of course, you can change that in case it did happen later in the day. But more often than not, you know, your sales reps are logging them at this point in time. But you know, so you just want to save them a few clicks. The assignee, that's also almost always going to be you. But it might not be you. It might be logging it on behalf of your maybe your colleague was sick and they said, hey, actually, I completely forgot to log that interaction, and my manager is going to be on me. Can you log that for me? So you can change that as well. If that's not what you want, you can, of course, lock that down. And then, you know, as you mentioned, you filtered out all of the contacts that aren't in that opportunity. And of course, that opportunity, you didn't have to select that either. That was pre-filled because you came from the opportunity page, right? So you're basically saving time and enforcing validation, so your sales reps just can't get it wrong, right? And that's really, really key.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. Definitely important to emphasize some of those points, as we sometimes take them for granted ourselves.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose now that we've wrapped up on, you know, Ari's pleased now, he's got all of his box ticked in terms of getting the deal to the next stage. Lastly, I'm just going to check in on the account, right? This is the business account, the sort of single source of truth on everything that, you know, and everything, of course, relates back to this account, from contacts, interactions, and opportunities. So, you know, this will be a really important time before I move on to my next deal, just to make sure that I have everything lined up after this deal, right? So again, you know, we can organize things in tabs, but this is all opportunities on this account. These are all interactions across all opportunities on this account in one place, as well as other key contacts that may exist other than Pamela, who I've been dealing with on my most recent opportunity. So this is obviously really useful for a rep, but also extremely useful for managers that, you know, don't have time to go into every single deal, but may just want to start at the account and see what's going on. So really important one to call out. When you've got the data structured nicely, you can build these really these 360-degree views, as you might have heard of before. But looking at this, I can see that there's an upcoming renewal date next year. So maybe as a last minute check, I'm going to see if I've got my renewal opportunity created. Doesn't really look like it from the names of these opportunities, but it's all right. You know, make it easy just to create that opportunity now. So I'm thinking about it next week, maybe when I've closed the deal and the current deal in flight. So again, you know, easy to name. We can simply just mark the type of the opportunity. Going to make this a renewal opportunity. Filter down the list of contacts that's only showing me Jason and Pamela, who exist on this account. So Jason, let's say he's the managing director, so this time we're going to deal with him. I can put a proposal deadline in for next month, and I already know from the account that the renewal date is the 31st of January. So put a pre-fill in value for now and press save. And now my manager is going to be aware that I've created the renewal opportunity. I know that it's there for me to pick up next week. And again, really easy. And he had all the information he needed to create the deal in question. So yeah, that sort of tees us up nicely, I think, for a quick pause. unless there's anything you want to add on the
Yeah.
account level, Darragh. But yeah, if there's any questions trickling in, happy to take some now before we move on to our manager point of view.
Yeah, I think it might be a good point to just very briefly show people underneath the hood of like how these apps are being kind of created, or kind of not how, but what they're powered by. You know, the kind of spreadsheet like database like tables that are powering these, just to show people how they can very easily customize this, right? So obviously we've shown that you customize the UI, but you know, it really is all about, Noloco is all about being able to customize the way you store your data and obviously then the way you present your data. So I think, yeah, this basically here is our data table. And you can see this app is powered by 5 very simple tables, but unlike kind of traditional spreadsheets, they are linked together. So you can see on the opportunities page here, we have an owner, which is linked to the user table. So clicking that gives you some of the options of the users that we have already seen. It's also linked to the account. But then most interestingly, you have columns that are like rich in the sense that they are like they are currency fields, or they are option fields where you can select one of a few. And this is what's basically powering this very customizable interface that you saw for the last like kind of 10 minutes. And of course, you can add new fields to this and kind of customize that. And we're going to go through that in the next section, or maybe in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pause. We do have a few questions coming in though. And if anybody has any other questions, do shoot them over. One of the questions, I think this is a very interesting one. What are the options for data migration from an existing CRM to Noloco? And then how seamless is the process?
Great
love for you to see your take on that, Jill.
It's a great question. I definitely welcome your input on it as well, Darragh.
For sure.
What we'll do is I'll just navigate everyone to the data tab first. And this, as you can see, is where we've built out our tables for this CRM. But I'm also going to show you, I suppose, the different options that you have to connect to Noloco. Now, I know the question was very much focused on maybe migrating data from an existing CRM. So for that example, I would probably suggest taking a look at our import a file feature. I think that's a really new, nice added feature that we've only recently introduced in the last few weeks. But if you have a relational, I suppose every CRM out there, Salesforce, HubSpot, they have sort of what's called a relational structure. And a lot of the time, if you have a table of deals, a table of contacts, accounts, they're kind of the common objects you'd hear of, you can often export them via CSV. And what's great about that then is you can use this feature here to drop your CSV in, and it will automatically create all of the fields and the data as well. So the actual deal records within each of those fields that you're going to import through this feature. So I can actually probably show you an example. This isn't a CRM, but just to kind of give you a visual, imagine we've just dropped our deal table from HubSpot. And, we can see there might be a deal name field, there could be a status field, a date field, and we'll actually detect those as well as the rows. And you can actually apply like what the data type should be on import. So that will make it really easy for you if you ever wanted to migrate from an existing CRM into the world of Noloco. What will happen is it will create a Noloco table actually, which you can then further add new fields to really easily. So that would probably be my approach if you wanted to migrate away from an existing. I don't know if you want to add anything or call out some of our.
I was going to say, like, migrating is a tricky process. So a lot of people actually like to kind of migrate ever so slowly. So they might already have their CRM set up in a traditional database like MySQL or Postgres, or indeed a kind of relational spreadsheet like Airtable or SmartSuite, or maybe even just Google Sheets. And Noloco, as you can kind of see here, actually offers native integration with those. So one way of kind of migrating, I suppose, to Noloco as a CRM would be to start syncing those data sources to Noloco. What Noloco will do is pretty much exactly what Jill just described, but automatically based on the tables that you already have in your other tool. So it'll spin up the tables, and then you'll have the exact same thing as what you see here, and the ability to build a very customizable app on top of that. So that's another way as well. And then obviously we do have other integrations coming soon as well that could maybe ease that process too.
Nice. Brilliant. Great question.
I think that's great. Yeah, no, it's really a great question. Obviously this one was going to be inevitable. What kind of customization is available for data visualization and kind of sales forecasting? Is that something we're going to cover later on, Jill, or
It
would we be
actually teases
skipping ahead if we?
it teases up really nicely to the next section
Oh,
if we
brilliant.
want to move on.
Yeah,
So
let's jump into that then.
brilliant. Okay, so we're going to stop viewing the app as Ari for a second and start viewing as Kate, our sales manager. And you can see here that our manager view has now popped up, which is where all our reports and dashboards live. So this is, this is essentially the sales manager's cockpit. They have all the metrics that they care about in one screen, and they can organize their, many dashboards into different groups. So this is a nice home screen. What we're seeing here is nice statistics at the top of the page. How much open pipeline do I have? Maybe I want to filter down by owner to see how much open pipeline each rep has. All very important metrics the sales managers care about, is coupled with close run revenue. So how much revenue have we booked this quarter? Again, you can filter down to see the performance of each. But then if you don't want just plain numbers, we also have lovely charts. So, this is a nice gauge metric. If we hover over here, we can see we're at 66% of our open pipeline target. Maybe we need more of a granular view here of the pipeline by rep, so we can have a nice bar chart so we can see, Jess has a load of open pipeline, Logan not so much, but maybe that's because Logan's closed a load of revenue recently, so he now needs to start focusing on building his pipeline. So again, you can really start to tell a story from the data, and we'll jump into how we customize and add these in a moment. I think it's really important to kind of dive into the different ways which we can present the data to a sales manager. So moving on to performance, again, we can have a different view of the three metrics, and maybe I want to see specifically, Ari, how's he doing? He's a lot of open and closed pipeline, but how much of that is actually, closed won? Okay, so let's see how this looks. Once it loads, you can see, okay, brilliant. He's closed 35,000 this quarter, so that's looking pretty good. 2 opportunities where we're closed related to that number, and he had around 18 different activities, so real nice healthy looking metrics. But maybe I want to inspect, okay, I'm actually quite concerned about open pipeline, so is Ari meeting his metrics? And again, maybe a little bit low, so I can now go use that data point, reach out to Ari and make a plan of action on how we're going to further open up and increase more his pipeline number. So yeah, really nice to be able to filter down, get the data points I need. But if I don't want just numbers, again, you can add nice list views as well. So, I know Logan has been knocking it out of the park this quarter. He's closed 2 really large deals. So maybe I want him to be, the oracle for my team of sales reps this month. I want him to pass on his knowledge to the team. I can reach out and specifically call out this opportunity, ask Logan to set up a meeting. I want you to, talk to the team about this. So, again, not only is it just insights and numbers, I can actually drill down to important records as well, with all of these different views. So last thing, and then we'll jump into, I suppose, how we build some of these views, is just, again, another view on targets. So we have gauges, but we also have nice funnel charts as well. So what sales reps and sales managers care about. And, in looking at my funnel in a bar chart, I can see, okay, qualification is not up to scratch. So we really need to do a lot of work here as a team to up that so that we can close more revenue later in the month.
That doesn't help you forecast. I'm not sure what will.
That's it.
Great.
So yeah, so I suppose it'd be a good idea to kind of dive into how to, configure some of these, change some of these. So looking at, I suppose, this block here, I'll explain how it's built. So when you add a chart component, let's just start from scratch. You can see down here, once we're in build mode, we have a load of different components that we can add to this blank page. By the way, this is what the dashboard is built on. And blank pages allow you to add, tables of data from all the different sources of data in your database. So you can see here, I can access all the tables. So I'm looking at my opportunities specifically, and I'm going to add a chart. And let's just try and replicate this pipeline target, for example. So, the type of chart that I'm looking for, and you can see there's a wide list of options here, is a gauge. So I simply select that option, really easy. didn't mean to zoom that much. And, you know, next thing that I want to do is I'm looking at the estimated value. That's my metric. So that's the amount that the pipeline is, or the opportunity is worth. And, you know, I want to sum all of the opportunities, the estimated value. And I'm probably going to put a gauge metric of around 500,000. So you can see it's a bit more realistic. So once I hover here, you know, 470K of all pipeline unfiltered. So it's not including closed loss, but you get the drift. So we're at 4% of that number. We can add further things like the titles. So this could be all pipeline target, but I did allude to filtering. So I will jump back for a moment. So obviously I haven't filtered in or out any opportunities from this chart. So if I want to do that, you know, I simply just filter this entire chart and say, you know, status is not one of, maybe I want to just look at open pipeline and not any closed pipeline. So now you can see that the data is instantly updating based on the filters I'm applying on the component. And if I want to add more, sorry, not forget, we added chart colors very recently, so you can change the theme.
We did.
Which is nice. A lot of people were asking for that. But yeah, maybe alongside this gauge metric, you know, or we'll actually make this a little bit smaller. It's taking up a lot of the page. So maybe we'll say 33% or even a quarter. So you have that customizability as well. But maybe now as well, like the one above, I want to add a bar chart. So again, it's simply a case of just adding a chart. Let's make this 75% to fill the rest of the block. We're going to use bar chart. And for the X value, so the bottom axis, that is, I'm going to look at the owner. And then for the series, I'm going to look at the estimated value. So now I'm seeing all of the opportunities that are open, not closed, grouped by the owner of the deal. So I can really see who's performing and who's not. So again, it's just a case of point and click, using the fields that you're already familiar with on your opportunities table and manipulating it until you land on the view that you need. But really, really accessible, you know, doesn't take a wizard to to figure out. After a few tries,
Absolutely not.
Looking at our guides, you get there pretty quickly.
I think so. I think you showed kind of the filters that filter out the data behind the scenes, but I think something you skimmed over in your own demo earlier was the ability to add filters that the users can kind of mess with. So
Exactly.
why don't you kind of quickly show how easy it is to add those as well?
Yeah, I actually love the use of filter fields here in this section. So yeah, if you wanted to add more than status and owner, which is what you would have seen a moment ago, all you have to do is head to the filter field section. So filter is pre-filtered by the admin, so the person who created the chart. Filter fields are used by the user who's engaging with this chart in the front end. So you can see here all the fields that are available on the opportunities table can be used in filters. So maybe you want to look at expected close date. Maybe you want to filter by key accounts. So we can add them by simply toggling them on in the filter feed section. And then, you know, these were drop-down driven filter fields, but, you know, we also support dates as well. So, you know, you might want to look at what kind of pipeline do we have heading well into maybe the end of January, right? And now we know the exact number based on that date range as well. So really important and useful for those sales managers out there.
Super easy to add.
Yeah, exactly. And just takes a few clicks to, you know, make these available to your end users, which is key for personas like Kate, you know, who's probably decided to adopt Noloco technology instead of using off-the-shelf CRM technology. And, you know, she herself is empowered to be able to customize and add and build these charts on her own. So yeah, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, what I'd love to show the audience is how easy it is to add more functionality, more tables into the CRM.
I think that'd be great. I think you've already kind of shown how easy it is to customize what's there, you know, and but I think it'd be great to kind of show how you can go above beyond and build something completely new. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think a really good use case to focus in on is, we all recall the account page. You know, it's great for reps to have everything that they need in one place. But you know, a very common occurrence that reps might see is, and which can really annoy them, is, you know, they may have a key account with tons of opportunities on the go. And you know, their renewals coming up, but unfortunately they've completely missed that there's a very angry support conversation going on because something in the system isn't working. And the last thing a rep wants to do is approach that customer in their state of mind with a sales conversation, right? So these kind of insights are really important to have inside the CRM for the salesperson. And I suppose there's two ways you can approach that. You know, we have talked a little bit about other data sources. So maybe your tickets are stored in one of these systems, who knows? Maybe a REST API, or you want to bring in just read-only tickets from another system like Zendesk or Intercom or whatever system you use, so that we can at least just surface that for the rep in the app. Or you might want to take it a step further, which is what we'll showcase now. You know, build that table to hold tickets and maybe start using Noloco for the customer support function. Maybe build public forms that customers can go to and log these tickets into the CRM directly. So at least the rep has that visibility, right? So, you know, these are the things that sales managers need to think about. It's breaking down silos within an organization. So Kate's going to take it upon herself today to build out this table really easily on Noloco. So we've come to the data tab and we're simply going to name it ticket. What's great about this feature is that we have a lot of commonly used objects that filter down for you that you can use. We also can quickly add some fields without having to create them from scratch. So I do know my ticket's going to want a name or a subject. I want a section for notes that the customer can apply, you know, add a description about the ticket. Created by is going to be a key piece of data I'm going to include. Maybe status as well, and when was the case started at. So simply had all those options ready and available, which is great. And here we have our table. So I have some of the fields that will pop in a moment if I do a quick refresh. And I can add more now, more than what was available on the quick add section. So let's do that now. So if I wanted to add maybe a pick list, and maybe it's going to be case status, right? So I can have a life cycle for my case, and I'm going to say new, in progress, under review or something, you know, and then close, right? Close. We'll finish on just 3. I think that's good. Yeah, makes sense. So there we go. I have a really basic template for my users to create tickets. So now that we've created the underlying data table, let's jump into the app and add it in here so that we can access all of the tickets that we create. So simply have to just select the sidebar, ensure we're in build mode down here. And now the new table that I've just added can be shown. And right now I've got no tickets. So let's have a quick look about creating a form, I suppose, that our users can use, that we can also make public to people who don't have access to Noloco. So with every view that you add, by the way, you get a collection view, which is your list, which we're on now. We have no records yet. We get a form and we get a record page. So we're going to go into all 3 of those and add some elements and just show you the building experience that we promise. So if we select on new ticket, this is the form that's tied to this view. And if we want to change this form and maybe add some bells and whistles, we can. So, you know, maybe we want name and notes to be on the same side, on the same line, so we can adjust the field width. I keep right clicking. There we go. But actually, I think I probably prefer having that on its own line. So we'll do default for that. Created by. So, you know, if we're creating this in the app, perhaps the sales rep is going to create these on behalf of their customers. Authenticated users, you know, we can pass through the logged in user value to this field, so we don't have to require the user to input it every time. So that might be a use case. If we make this public form, we probably won't need to add this field, just kind of giving everyone a feel for the options. So, you know, when we go into the configuration for this field, you see the pencil icon, we're going to pass a hidden value and we're going to pass in the logged in user. So now that field disappears from the form view. and it will always be passed depending on who is creating this record from the form. And then
I'd just like to kind of call out a subtle difference here that people might be picking up on. When we looked at the forms last time, we had like default values, which basically pre-filled the user. The difference here is that the user saw that field and was able to change it. In this case, it's completely hidden, but it will be passed through as a default, as the value when the ticket is created. So a subtle difference here, but allows you to kind of get really streamlined data input with very accurate data.
Yeah, you've got really good options there at your disposal for sure. Definitely use cases for both as well, and being able to change or not.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and then finally, I suppose case status, we can obviously use the default drop down, but maybe we want to show all the options and it's a radio button experience. And really the list goes on. You can get very sophisticated with your forms if you have lots of fields. Obviously this case example, there's only a couple of fields that we need to fill in, but for any lengthy forms that you may come across, lots of our customers use it for questionnaires that may be in a client portal that has tons of questions. You can actually do lots of cool things like conditionally visible forms based on previous form values that are being inputted. So yeah, for anyone who's interested in learning more, we definitely urge you to book in a call with either myself and Darragh, and we can show you that in a demo. But yeah, really lots of things you can do in Noloco forms. And then finally, I suppose, as I mentioned, let's actually go create our first test ticket. So we have something to mess around with and configure the record page. So we'll save that. You can see it was created by Kate Johnson. But yeah, we can just start to reorganize what we're seeing here. So enter into build mode one more time and show off some of the different things that we can add here. Just give it a moment. Stop my internet lagging. Here we are. So yeah, what's great is actually Noloco has used some logic as well, just based on the types of fields that we've created in the data table. We've actually added some components out of the box for you. So, you can do even less thinking if you want to just use the defaults. But, we detected a status field, a drop-down field. So we added what is a status element. But if you wanted to add another one, you could. We only have one option right now on this data table, but you get the idea. A few clicks. Maybe this details block. So maybe I want to give this a nice header. So I can head to the title section and just type in case details. For the name, maybe I want to give this a full length. Same goes for notes, so I can adjust the width. Maybe that's a bit too big, so maybe I'm going to go 50-50. You get the idea. You can start to space things out as you need them. You can also enable inline editing. These can be really useful as well on collection views. So let's actually just jump back for the opportunity for a moment. So, maybe your reps just want to update a big list rather than working on a record basis. So you can make any of these fields inline editable. So maybe I'm going to add let's make the status inline editable, for example. So you can see it looks totally different in the UI, and I can just update it here. So lots of different options, but jumping back to our ticket, you can see we can do it on our record pages as well. And there goes our push notification.
I think one thing people are probably wondering at this point, Gill, is how is this any better than a spreadsheet? These are just tickets. They're not even linked to anything. Like,
Good point.
Why is this any better?
Yeah, I completely forgot to add that part in.
I didn't think you forgot. I thought you were teeing it up quite nicely. I was just hoping to.
Now that we have created our table, the place for the tickets to go, and we have a nice page layout design, of course, we're going to want to, tie this to other parts of our CRM, right? And that's the whole purpose of this endeavor from Kate's perspective. She wants her reps to go to their account page and see the tickets that have been logged by a contact or an account, right? So we'd probably say, tickets are going to be assigned to contacts really that will be linked to accounts. So I'm going to show you how you can tie these pieces together, but it has to start in the data table. So if we jump back to our ticket, we obviously have our baseline fields. We're all happy with them. But now we want to tie this to a contact, which is going to be, a key person that our customer, right? So
it's the person who made the complaint or filed the bug report,
Exactly.
The person we want to keep happy.
Exactly. So we're going to call this field reported by, and more importantly, we are going to link this table via this field to our contacts table. So ticket records can have one reported by, which means it's a many to one, and reported by records can have many tickets. So that means contacts can create many tickets, but each ticket is going to have one contact associated with it. And then we're just going to simply close the loop and say that a contact will have tickets and add the field. And that is it. It's really easy to create links between our data. So for our first sample record, once that goes in, let's just say for argument's sake, it was with our contact from earlier, Pamela. And now we have one sample record to work with. So we all know Pamela well at this stage. So let's jump back to her contact record. And now that we're here, we want to show tickets on this page. So we're going to enter into build mode. And I'm going to create a new tab. I kind of like keeping things organized in different sections so the rep can easily find it later. And let's just jump into build mode here. We can see we have our 3 tabs so far. Let's add one for tickets. And then once that's created, head to the tickets tab. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we want to show a related list, right? So we want to show tickets specifically logged by this contact. So the component to use is collection. We're going to head to the contacts, or we're going to head to ticket as a source. So we add that. And then the last step is making sure that we only show tickets that are tied to this contact. And that's because of the relationship that we set up in the underlying data table. So I head here, I select that. Of course, we're on the right contact, so you can see nothing changed. However, if we were to go to another contact, head to the tickets tab, there'll be no ticket here because we haven't created one yet. And with all those filters applied, you know, if your rep was to create a ticket, this is automatically going to be tied to the contact because we've filtered that component nicely as well. So one less step to think about and ensures that all of our data is tied together. And then, of course, you can still surface this as well on the account level and through the links. So it'd be simply a case of adding the tab, adding the collection, which we can do down here for argument's sake. And this time we're going to be filtering it by where the contact, the reported by, is one of the accounts, the contacts on the account. So slightly different relationship here, but again, because everything is tied together, you still have the ability to surface things on the account level as well, even though it's tied to the underlying contact. So we'll probably head to, I believe it's begins with H. Here we go, head back down. And there we go, that's the test ticket that we created and tied to Pamela there. So yeah, making sure everyone has a burn view, no matter what the level.
Absolutely. And it's worth pointing out, like this, you know, if you're not happy with that layout, you have all of the layout options that we kind of showed you before. So you might want to show them as Kanban boards, you might want to group them by status, or even group them by created by, so you can, or reported by. So you could kind of see, oh, look, you know, the 4 contacts, some of them haven't had any tickets, some of them have had tickets. And you can do that on the contact page, as well as on the ticket kind of overall page. And, you know, there's quite a lot of options here.
Definitely tons to check out, and that would definitely be my next call to action, is to test this out if any of this piques your interest. But yeah, to be honest, Darragh, that actually brings me to the end of everything really that we had today.
We have a few more questions flowed in the meantime, so thanks, Jill. That's been an incredible overview. I think what's really important is if you didn't see a flow that kind of matched what you expect from your business, keep in mind that everything you saw here is completely changeable and completely dynamic, and you can build it to match your flow. And of course, myself and Jill are on hand to help you build it to match your flow. So you can kind of customize the exact flow to your business and build an app that you and your team love. So let's jump into a few questions because we have just under 7 minutes left.
Go for it.
Cool. Let me see. Oh yeah, one thing we didn't touch on, and this is a great question, thanks for asking. How does Noloco support different access levels and permissions for various user roles? So like, you know, you might have a sales manager, which we've already discussed. We have a sales rep, which might have already discussed. But you might have other things like a department manager, or even like sales assistant, you know, or SDRs, and, you know, depending on your company. How would you approach this, Jill?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll dive into our permissions layer and show you how we can do that and facilitate that. Believe it or not, this app actually, although we didn't focus on it too much, has some permissions set up. So for any of the eagle-eyed out there, you might have noticed when I started the demo, I was looking at this from the perspective of Ari, our sales rep, and you can see as an admin, right, you have access to all the users in your user table, which we'll see in a moment now. But you can also see the roles. So you can see that Noloco gives you the power to assign different roles to different users, which is ultimately what powers our permissions. So as I mentioned, we were looking at Ari's app, and a few things changed here, right? So he doesn't have access to the manager view that Kate once had. But more importantly, the opportunities filter right down to the opportunities that Ari owns, right? He cannot see anyone else's. And that's a permission rule that we built for the CRM. Some people want that, some people don't, but let's just dive into how easy it is to build that, right? So permissions are applied on our data layer. So we're jumping back in here for a moment. And the permission you just saw was applied specifically on the opportunities table. Now, we will show you these permissions, but first, let's dive into the roles, because that's what drives our permissions. It's all about role-based access. And from your users table, you can head to the manage role sections right here. And you can see here, these are all the different types of roles that you can create. You can create as many custom roles as you need. So, we have one here for manager, one here for sales rep. You can add as many more as you need, and any permutations, maybe sales development reps, or I don't know, sales team lead, all sorts of levels that you may have in your sales org. And here we have sales rep marked as a team member, and a manager as an admin, like Kate, who would be able to build and add functionality. So that's a key difference there between the two types of roles. And if anyone wants to learn more, let us know. But without holding us back, let's, now that we know our roles, we've got two options. Let's head to the permissions builder. And in here from the opportunities table, we can see we have a permission already built. So we're applying this to two roles, our sales rep and user role. And we have a record level permission enabled. So if we wanted to have a different sales manager role, we could apply to that as well. But these are the ones that we've applied to right now. And as I mentioned, two levels to our permissions. So first up is record level. And essentially you're asking yourself, should any user with the sales rep role have access to all opportunity records? Now, we have decided as a business, no, that we only want them to access records where the owner of the opportunity is the same as the logged in user. And if that isn't the case, they will not even fetch the record from the database, and they will not have access to it. So that's the first level, record level. And then secondly, it can go right down to the field level. So this can be quite useful, maybe in the context of CRM, where managers might want fields that are not privy to a sales rep. So you could turn off read visibility on certain fields that exist in an opportunity. Might not be a case for that. But also maybe there are fields that reps shouldn't be able to update and just read, right? And maybe the sales manager should be able to, override commissions on a deal, for example. So you have that granularity on every single field, read, update, and create per user role. So lots of there for you when it comes to.
That's a great answer, Jill. We could spend the whole webinar on permissions, and I'm sure we will. But I think that's a great way to kind of introduce the topic. I think we've time for at least one more question.
Cool.
Where would it go? How quickly can a sales team be up and running with a Noloco CRM, Jill? What do you think?
Ooh, how long is a piece of string?
I think so.
Honestly, quite quickly, really, but it all depends on, I suppose, the time that you can commit to it as well. It depends on, I suppose, the data that you're connecting. Are you coming with existing data? Are you complete blank canvas and you're going to build out your schema for the first time, like you saw in the demo? But really what I hope has come across throughout the demo is how easy it is to build views. We created a new table, tickets, we added 5 fields, we added the view, and we've added a form, and that was all done in the space of a few minutes, right? So it should give you a good flavor for how quickly you can build on Noloco. But again, with these things, there's all sorts of variables between data,
Absolutely.
availability,
I
you name it.
think
Yeah.
absolutely. I think though, if you liked what you saw today and you think this matches your flow, at least somewhat, you can actually clone this. So from your Noloco, your app dashboard in Noloco, you can scroll down to the bottom where you'll see all your templates. And then of course you can clone it and get started in just a few minutes. So you actually won't take you that long to get started at all. So that's I think that's the kind of answer to that. I think that's all we have time for today, Gill. But thank you so much. I think everybody has probably learned a lot about custom CRMs in general, how different sales teams can be productive and basically effective without having to spend months building out a custom solution or hiring a developer to build them something bespoke. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap up?
No, absolutely not. I think you hit the nail on the head. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in. As Darragh said, feel free to reach out to either one of us if you'd like some further demos, insight, advice, tips, CRMs or beyond. We're eager to hear from you all. So yeah, that would be everything from my side.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining. And we try to do these webinars every kind of 3 to 4 weeks. So keep an eye on your inbox and keep an eye out on noloco.io/webinars. And of course, if you want to get started with Noloco, you can sign up there as well for a 30-day free trial. So see you all next time. And thank you very much for joining.
Great. Bye. Bye.